The air raid is based on really big splits in the line, playing fast, and a lot of crossing routes. So if you had something like this on the hash marks, what we would do is we were always going to use the full 53 yards this way. What the run and shoot's going to do is they always for years try to use the field this way. And so however many yards you were out from a touchdown, they wanted to be able to stretch the whole thing. And so our idea was to take the best of the two offenses and combine them so that we're doing both all the time. One of the things about the air raid that everybody talks about and looks at is the line splits. And most of our most people's line splits are about 2 feet here and maybe 3 feet right there. The run and shoot version, probably more like 2.5 and maybe 3.5. The air raid version of that, more like 3.5 and 5 to 6 right here. So big splits with the tackles. So that's one of the differences that we have, and one of the things that we had to come to grips with and how to do it. Our thought was that by moving this tackle out, those are usually the best guys you're going against right there. And by taking this guy and moving him out a few more feet, now you move that guy out a few more feet. So obviously as he takes the snap and settles, he's further from the quarterback than he would have been if he had started right here. So that's the air raid version of it. The run and shoot version of that was to roll slightly. So they might keep the split the same, maybe 4 feet right there. So that guy's right there. And so now he's coming here. So now what the quarterback would do, they would call a play this way, and he might roll slightly to the left, so he actually sets up in this gap right here. And so again, they've created that space between the quarterback and the best athlete on defense. So getting away from those defensive ends is always a problem. Both offenses solve the problem, but we just kind of went about it in a little bit different ways. So we had to, that was one of the challenges when we got together, was how much of that would be air raid and how much of that would be rolling the quarterback slightly like the run and shoot guys do. So that was probably the first problem we had when we started doing this. And the next thing is the routes. Now, one of the main routes in both of our offenses is the sail route. And the way we ran that in the air raid was we were going to have a flat player. We were going to have a deep player who ran a post or an up. And that was based on this guy's coverage. And then we were going to take the inside receiver, which is usually our Y, and we were, no matter where that guy was, we were going to get to 10 yards and turn out and speed cut out. And then after he cut out, what we were going to tell him was to be ready to catch the ball up high. So in case this guy tried to play both these guys right here and kind of got in between but favored the Y a little bit more, the quarterback could still throw the ball right in here, because if you run this guy off and he's right here, you've got this big void. And so we would tell him just to expect the ball high. So as he cut and ran out there, he's going to reach up for the ball and catch it more in there. All right, that's the way the air raid would run. Now the way the run and shoot does it, same idea, but a little different way to get to it. What the run and shoot guys do, and what I learned this past season, was they're going to split the defenders. They're going to divide the defenders. So if this safety takes that same drop and he's right there, and now this corner is here, the Z, as he's coming off, he's reading that corner. If the corner plays outside, then he's going to take this cut right here. If the corner stays inside, then he's going to take that cut right there, but he's going to try and force that corner deep and take him deep. And so now you've created this space in here between, again, the same space we were talking about in the air raid. You've created space here and here, but now what the Y would do is he comes off, he would try to see this space, see this defender, and then know where that defender is, and as soon as he got to the level of the underneath defender, then he was going to cut at a 45 into that open area right there and try to divide the two defenders. So what they were talking about is know where the underneath coverage is. As soon as you get past that level, make your break. So while we would tell the guy to cut at 10 yards, in the run and shoot, this may actually be say a 7-yard break or an 8-yard break, or it could be a 12-yard break. It could be a little bit longer. So the quarterback now, instead of going straight back, he's going to take that little 3-step this way, which puts him slightly closer to the receiver on the throw. But a lot of times the receiver may be a little bit deeper. So again, you kind of end up with this two ways to get to the same place scenario. But that's kind of another thing in terms of what we had to mesh together, in order to combine these two offenses. So every route in the run and shoot has multiple reads by the wide receivers. Every route in the air raid doesn't. That's not necessarily true. For instance, we would make a signal on this guy. We'd see where that coverage is, and we'd either run that route or the post, but it wouldn't be a deal where the Z was reading it as he's coming off. In the run and shoot, they would. We would tell the Y, cut at 10 yards, speed cut it, but be ready to catch the ball in a high position. And then you can see how I've drawn it up there for the run and shoot, what they would do. So that's two of the biggest areas that we had to combine. The next thing was the line schemes themselves. And in the air raid, we had big splits. So let's say we had 3 and we had 5. And the quarterback was his toes would be at 5 yards, heels at about 5.5, maybe 6, depending on the height and the athleticism of the quarterback. Sometimes we even deepen him up from that. And then on the snap, he's going to go, if he's a right-handed passer, he's going to go left, right, left, and set. So he's going to end up here at about 9 to 9.5 on his drop and his depth. And up front, these guys would be working vertically to set. So let's take this guard right here. He's going to set left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. He's going to end up setting off the ball. On his alignment, his helmet is going to be at the bottom of the center's number, which is legal. So basically, when you draw this up, I really should draw it up like this. It looks like this. Or wider. So basically, we're going to be backed off the ball as far as we can. Well, if this is the line of scrimmage, what we've done here, that's as far as that tackle can be. That's as close as that end can be. That's as close as that tackle can be. That's as close as that end can be. We've created space right here. That space represents time. On every one of our pass plays down the field, for instance, YSL, the one I just drew up, we need about 3 to 3.2 to get the ball off. Well, we've created probably a second, maybe a second and a half just by our alignment right here. So now half the battle is basically won. We got to create another second and a half some other way. Well, we do that, by setting vertically. So we're left, right, set, left, right, set. Same thing over here, same thing over here. All right, so the quarterback is slightly deeper. These guys have vertically set. In other words, they're going to keep their pads square. They come straight back. They're going to try and create more space for these guys to have to run into. And now you've eaten up maybe 2/3 of the time that you need before they ever have to fight the battle. All right. As these guys get into them, now of course it gets down protection, and at some point all pass protection becomes man protection. You have to actually block somebody. So at that point, we've probably covered about 2 seconds just by our alignment, our drop. Now we got to win the battle for about 1 second to 1.5 seconds theoretically. And they get into us here. You got to win that battle. So that's the way the air raid would vertically set and the way we would take people on.